So I took a trip to a beautiful city in Spain. My first time in Girona, but it did not go as planned. Stay tuned, I'll tell you more about that.
I had to book a hotel last minute, so I also have to try to get a refund with them for the hotel. In the hotel that I canceled in Barcelona last night. But you know, it could be worse. I have a place to stay last night and tonight. Is it money that I did not plan on spending? Absolutely. So let's just hope that I get it back, y'all. Let's just hope.
I went to Spain. I took my first trip to Girona. I just got back, so I'm still recovering from the time change and all that. And Girona is a beautiful city in Spain. On the way there from San Diego, I had to stop in London, and I ended up getting stuck there. I fly from San Diego at 6 o'clock, 6:30, I think, local time. And I got to London at 4:30, 3:30, I think. It's an 11-hour flight, y'all. I haven't done 11-hour anything as far back as I can remember. I can't even sleep 11 hours. We landed, and we get to London Heathrow. I don't know if you guys have been to London Heathrow Airport on my way to Spain. We get there, and British Airways, it's a lot of chaos. You have to take a terminal transit train to get to my connecting flight. And I go through the little checkpoint to get in, and it just said red, like you can't get through. So the lady told me I had to go talk to the British Airways people. And I found out that my trip to Spain got canceled. The first thing I did was I got on my laptop, found a little chair to sit in, and I booked a hotel room. I ended up staying at Moxie. It's a Marriott hotel. I guess the upside was I had the best Indian food I've ever had in my life. I'm not lying. Come to find out, my friend who used to live in London told me that I guess London is supposed to have better Indian food than India, which in my mind didn't make sense. But when I was having it, I'm telling you, that Indian food's hands down the best. So I tried to make the best of it. The next day, I was like, okay, I'll go to Buckingham Palace. But the problem with that is, since I'm taking a trip to Spain, I didn't have the right clothes I needed because it was 30 degrees outside. And I looked on GPS. I was like an hour away from Buckingham Palace. So I just ended up chilling in the hotel. I had to book another flight for the 14th. In that ticket, there was one seat left. And it was like $1,000 or $800 or something crazy. But I just charged it to the credit card because I didn't come all this way to not make it to Spain. After all that, I finally make it to Spain. I'm like praying the morning of my flight, do not let this flight get canceled, God, please. And luckily I made it to Spain. It's a nice little 2-hour flight. We get into Barcelona and got into Barcelona. I took the train from Barcelona to Girona. I'll probably make another video on how to take the train and all that stuff. So if you're interested, make sure you watch that video, just to make it easier for you guys so you don't have to go through the hassle of what I had to go through. First stop, I'm in Spain. I get to Girona. The first stop I made was the Eiffel Bridge. It was created by the same person that created or designed the Eiffel Tower. And the bridge itself is really dope because you can see a view of Girona, and there's a little river that goes underneath the bridge. It's a really beautiful view, and it really was just like, man, okay, all this hassle to get to Spain was worth it. this moment made it worth it. The hotel I stayed in when I was in Spain, or when I was in Girona, was Hotel Utonia, and it's downtown Girona. I would definitely recommend it because you can get to anywhere within Girona within 10-minute walk max. There was never a time during my trip to Spain where my stay in Girona, where I was like, man, I should have stayed somewhere else. This is a far walk. It's even a 10-minute walk from the Girona train station. So I would definitely recommend that hotel. It's really clean. I didn't get a lot of footage or any footage at all of that hotel, but I stayed in a room and breakfast was included. And it's like a continental style breakfast, but compared to the continental style breakfast in America, America continental breakfast is here. Spain's continental breakfast, there's a gap. The eggs were fresh. They had fresh fruit. The coffee I'm a coffee snob, and going to Girona looking for good coffee, this hotel has good coffee. If you like dark roast, it was good. And I was really expecting it to be really bad. So luckily that didn't happen. After the Eiffel Bridge, then I walked over to Basilica de Sant Feliu. What this basically was, it looked like a miniature cathedral, or maybe it's an actual cathedral. I didn't pay to get inside. My main stop for this, like the tourist itch that I got, the main stop that I wanted to make was at Catedral de Girona, or Cathedral of Girona. So I saved my euros, but I did want to check out these other spots just to see it. So if you want a deeper dive on the Cathedral of Girona, make sure you check out the other video I made. It's more of like a deep dive on it. Basilica de Sant Feliu, it was cool. There was this big, statue of Jesus on the cross when you walk in. And then there was like a pulpit, basically. When you walk into the door, you see it. So, and guys, I could have went in there and paid. It's not expensive at all, especially if you're going all the way to Girona and you want to sightsee. I would definitely recommend just paying the money, but I knew my main focus was Catedral de Girona. So I just saved my euros for that, my time for that. Now, throughout this, when I was walking in Girona, there's so much history in Girona. I think the city is over 1,000 years old or something like that. You could just feel it. I mean, especially when I went into Cathedral de Girona, you could just feel the energy. Like, this is a big historical site. The people that I saw there when I was walking in the streets were mostly tourists, but a lot of locals were there too. The locals were very friendly. It does help to know Spanish, guys. So I know a little Spanish. Remember these words. Yo solo hablo un poco de español. Okay? I only speak a little bit of Spanish. So you start with that, then you'll be met with welcome. And also, if you know Catalan, it's even better, because there in Girona, the primary language is not Spanish, which I thought, is Catalan. So if you're in kind of like the Plaza de Independencia, usually at the restaurants and stuff, they're open to speak in English, but I felt it was very important for me to show an effort to speak Spanish, the language of the locals. Because as American, when people from different parts of the world come here, we're always like, hey, speak English. Not me personally, but I feel like that's how people get treated when they come to our country. So if I'm going to Spain or taking a trip to wherever, I want to speak the language of the locals. I'm not trying to get them to speak my language. As Americans, we have a lot to learn and a lot to improve on in terms of linguistic ability. I mean, most of these people that I met in Girona speak 2, 3 languages, and I feel like Europe by and large, people can speak multiple language and sometimes speak English better than Americans that I know. They try to speak Spanish if you can. If you want to learn Spanish, there's this cool app called Busu. I'm not sponsored by anything. Or sponsored by them or anything. I know Duolingo's popular. I've used Duolingo before, but Busu has been much more helpful for me. And I think for the year, it's $90. Also, make sure you download the app Spanish Dictionary. They have an app. So if you are in a bind, which it happened to me a few times where I don't know how to communicate what I'm trying to say, just tell the people, one moment, un momento, por favor, and go to your app and type in what you're trying to say, and then that way you can communicate effectively. If you take a trip to Spain or a trip to Girona and you don't know any Spanish at all, definitely get the app Spanish Dictionary and practice at least basic things, like if you want to go somewhere, how to order food in Spanish, how to communicate with your taxi drivers, with the hotel people in the lobby, communicate what you need, what you want to order, like that helps and goes a long way. And that, I think that will actually play into making your trip more enjoyable. So after I checked out, just, walked through the city a little bit, I went to the Arab baths. And the history with Spain is, from what I know, I'm still learning, but the Moors, North Africans, conquered Spain through a conquest, and they ruled over Spain for about 800 years, from what I understand. And the Moors are the ones who created the whole concept of taking a bath. So if you take a bath, you can thank the Moors for that. Definitely wanted to stop by there. I did not go into the Arab baths, sorry. That again was €3, I believe, which is not expensive again, but I was just so focused on Catedral de Girona, where I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna spend time in here or my euros in here, because I know that that's my main focus. And again, I'll have a video that I put together on the Catedral de Girona, and I definitely want y'all to check it out. So I talked to some girls who came out of the Arab baths, and they said it was cool. They liked it. However, there were only a few rooms in there. But if you look at pictures on the Arab baths online, it looks pretty dope to me. That's why I definitely wanted to at least see the outside of it. In the entrance, obviously, I talked to the guy at the front, but I was definitely interested in stopping by there. Maybe if I go back to Spain again, I'll check it out. So I went to the Placa de Independencia, Plaza of Independence too, and that was designed by Marty Sureta. And when you're walking through here, it's really cool because you have the buildings on the side. There's little vendors in the middle of it too. There's a lot of eateries and restaurants right there too if you want to get something to eat. I went there several times during my trip. They have a pretty good Italian restaurant, La Roca, I think it's called. And then there's another restaurant, Keurig, that I went to as well. And that place was pretty good. It's more Americanized a little bit, but they do have some local cuisines that you can probably dabble in there. There was a really good gelato spot too, La Bombonera, I believe. I'll type the correct name for you guys, but I went there twice and the gelato was on point. Very reasonably priced too. If you're a vegan, they have vegan gelato. That's actually what I got because I can't do dairy. So definitely check it out. And you could just walk a little walkway further throughout, and it will take you outside of the Plaza of Independence. But it's a really cool vibe. I definitely would recommend putting that on your list for places to check out when you're in Girona. So at Cathedral of Girona, it has the Gothic style nave, I think, or nave. You guys check me on the pronunciation of that, but it's the widest in the world. And the history for this site goes back to 516 AC. So the Cathedral of Girona was built between the 11th and 18th century. And it has a lot of history, y'all. I mean, over 1,000 years of history, which is why I made a totally separate video on that alone. But this is a place you need to check out when you go to Girona. It only costs, I think, €7 to get in there. And when you get in there, they give you a mic, or not a mic, they give you an audio piece. And with that, you press this button, and each site that you visit within that cathedral, there's about 20 different places to visit just inside the Cathedral of Girona alone. And this will speak to you and tell you what you're looking at, teach you the history. That's why I'm doing a totally different video on that. We'll be here for an extra 20 minutes, but definitely worth it. You can listen to the history of each stop that you make and go at your own pace, which I thought was cool. The front of Cathedral Girona is where there was a Game of Thrones episode on it, shot there. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but obviously I know it's very popular. So I think it's pretty dope that a show can bring that many people to Girona. That's definitely good for the city of Girona and the local economy. So after I did all that, y'all, I had to get some food. So if you go to Girona as well, and if you're a coffee snob like me, I love coffee. The best coffee in Spain that I had was from a new cafe that I came across called Idle Hands. And Idle Hands has coffee and food. I got the pea fritters and this smoked salmon on the side. Smoked salmon is really popular in Spain. At least that was my take on it, because I had smoked salmon like 4 or 5 different times at all these restaurants. So I had pea fritters with the smoked salmon, and then I had a really good salad. Ensalada is how you say salad in Spanish, just in case you want a salad when you're out there. And it had fresh carrots and all these other vegetables on the plate. Just really, really good quality food, you guys. So that is definitely something to look forward if you're making your own trip to Spain, is the food quality. I give it a 10. The coffee, I believe that was the best coffee I had in Spain, because I went to La Fabrica. I went there, and then I went to Eat Sleep Cycle for coffee. And I also went to Federal Coffee. But at Idle Hands, they were serving Nomad coffee. And from what the owner told me, the owner's name is Jacob, really cool dude. They had only been open 3 weeks when I got in there. So Nomad Coffee is based in Barcelona, from what he told me. And I got a decaf coffee, and the flavor was nuts. It was a Colombian, and really, really nice body to it, fruit forward, really, really good stuff. So I would definitely recommend going to La Comunia and Idle Hands if you're in Girona when you take your own trip. Very, very good food, very, very good coffee. And if you like decaf coffee, so that's another thing. I had so much coffee when I was in Girona. I had maybe an average of 3 to 4 coffees a day. Whereas in the States, I try not to drink coffee past 2. But when in Spain, you do as the locals do. Coffee is just like part of the culture. So what I did was switch to decaf in the afternoons or late at night. So if you want decaf coffee, it's descafeinado. That's in Spanish. If you want to ask for it in Catalan, it's descafeinat. And that way you can kind of switch it up too if you want to switch it up, like I did. So you're not up at 2 in the morning staring at the ceiling. Speaking of 2 in the morning, when I stayed at Hotel Utonia, remember, if you're going there as an American, if you're going to Spain as an American, the culture is different. I got woken up at 2 in the morning in my hotel room because people were just coming back from being out, which is early. 2 a.m. is early there. Between the siestas, so the culture is different. So most of the days, people usually get going around 9 or 10 in the morning from what I noticed. And then they get the siesta, which starts at 2 p.m. Everything shuts down. I would say 95% of stores, whatever, they're closed. And then they will reopen at 4. But even though they reopen at 4, yo, if you want dinner at maybe 5, 6, like you would normally have in the States, it's not going to happen. You might be able to go in and get a drink or something like that, but usually most people eat dinner over there at 9, 10 o'clock. So there were some nights where I'm just like, man, I am starving. And then as the days pass, you get integrated into the culture. So it wasn't a big deal. But some days I did sneak off and go to a spot and eat dinner at 7 o'clock so that I can get in bed and chill. But yeah, so if that happens to you in a hotel or whatever, or Airbnb, and people are coming back loud, and just remember, you're in a different country. It's a different culture. I did not go out there and tell them to be quiet because this is not America. This is Spain. It's totally different. And this is their culture, and this is what they do. So I had to adjust. I didn't expect them to adjust to what I wanted. So yeah, definitely. Would I recommend going to Girona? Would I recommend going to Spain? Definitely. I would say 10 out of 10, I would recommend that you do that. I will recommend that you, remember, learn some Spanish, or if you speak Spanish, then you're good. Learn some Catalan if you can, or if you know Catalan, you're good. Get the Spanish dictionary app so that you have that on hand when you're traveling. Don't get stuck at an airport and stuck in London for 2 days. I will also recommend being open to new experiences, new people. Like, integrate yourself with the locals there, and I think you will have a good time. Everybody there was pretty kind to me. I didn't have any experiences where I felt unsafe, or even in Barcelona, because I had read some things online where they said, at the train station and all that, be careful. I didn't have any hiccups. I will say that Barcelona Sants, if you take that train station, you do have to pay $1 or €1 to use the bathroom, which I thought really was odd. And there was a Spanish woman who also saw that. I think she was there for the first time, and she did not even use the bathroom. She was shaking her head like, what? You have to pay to use the bathroom. So use the bathroom before you go to Barcelona Sants train station. But yeah, other than that, my trip to Spain was amazing. I definitely want to go back. I want to see different parts of Spain. Girona was cool. I rode my bike there too. I'll make another video on, if you're a cyclist, where you should ride, which coffee shops to check out, how to get a bike rental and all that stuff. But if you're not a cyclist, definitely go. Check out Spain. Affordability, it was pretty affordable. I don't remember catching myself thinking like, man, this is expensive. But in London, that happened. The British pound, I don't know what is going on with the British pound, y'all, but man, it's expensive there. I would say more so than America. But yeah, other than that, 10 out of 10 recommend. Let me know in the comment section if you're a Spaniard, how do you feel about Americans that come to your country? Do you expect us to speak Spanish? Have you ever had an experience where an American or English-speaking person was trying to force you to speak English? What did I miss? What else would you recommend that people check out while they're in Spain, while they're in Girona? I'm sure I didn't hit everything, so definitely leave that in the comment section and let me know what locals and Spaniards think, and maybe anybody else who's been to Spain. If is there any other place that I missed in Girona? Let me know so I know for my next time, for the next time I go out there and check it out. But I hope this information is helpful for you on your trip to Spain and your trip to Girona. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you smash the like button and press subscribe to see the other videos that I'm going to make on my trip to Girona. All right? Talk to you soon, guys.